So during my dialogue with Rion, he asked if I would make some comments on atemi as well. A lot of what we see in Aikido atemi is rather crude. Somebody will be doing a technique and then they swing an arm up at the face. And again, I think most of my viewers know that if somebody swings an arm that way, you just block the arm. Now, some people will claim, well, I did that on purpose so I could take the other arm into a lock or something like that. I'm not going to argue that that's a possibility. But if you're actually thinking of striking somebody with effect, I would say the majority of Aikido, the atemi that's executed isn't really all that effective. Now, one way people try to address that is by grafting on, would be one way to put it, or intertwining techniques from other martial arts. Most notably, my teacher, Kuryuwa Sensei, everything was a hook or an uppercut. Some people do karate. Certainly, the Iwama dinosaurs, I like to call them, practice makiwara training, thrusting their fingers into gravel and things like that. Of course, there's Nishio Sensei, who was actually a remarkable karateka. All of that makes sense. I got no argument with it. If one would like to, for whatever reason, maintain a pure Aikido, then where is atemi in Aikido? Some of you who've read my posts know that I tend to be a stickler for words. Couple reasons. One, I don't want to use the wrong word and have knowledgeable people, particularly those of Japanese nationality, discount what I say when I use the wrong word. But the other thing is often the words have clues on technique. So let's take the word atemi. Most people see ate, which means hit, and mi, body, and they say, oh, hitting the body. Okay? But the older word for atemi in most jujitsu schools was kachimi. And kachimi means winning body. It doesn't mean win over the body, it means you got a winning body. So one way to sort of look at that is if you look at Akuzawa Minoru, some of you may know who he is, who talks about creating the Bujitsu body. So atemi is a body that can hit, not hitting somebody else's body. And so if we think of that in an Aikido context, how would, as the saying go, how does, 80%, 90%, whatever the quote is, of all Aikido atemi when we're just doing throws and things like that? The point should be that any throw, any lock, anything is also a strike. So that, for example, when you do ikkyo, you are also turning that into a strike. Now notice I didn't pull back. I've got my hands theoretically on somebody's arm, and I'm turning that into using my body to affect their body pretty sharply. So for me, a couple principles. When we do that Aikido technique, we're very close to the person. Because it's a grappling system, even though we start at arm's length, we have to have points of contact on our body and the other person's body. People who do Aikido at arm's length, I think that's illusory, because as any good grappler knows, you have to have 3 points of contact to control another person's body. And all too much of Aikido is 2 points of contact. Now, if you've got great timing and you've got a real advantage, 2 points of contact will suffice. But on somebody who's really skilled, that third point of contact is important, which means one wants to be close to the person. So, you know, because of COVID and all that, I don't have a training partner, but if you could just imagine, I've got somebody's arm, rather than swinging out this way, I want to trace, every movement should trace along that person's body. There should be no division. So if they try to block, just like when you're grappling, you know, the person is sliding through the person's defenses, right? And getting some advantage. So we're grappling on our feet. The point though is, at any point that I have contact, I should be able to create percussive effect on that person. So, for example, excuse me for 1 second. So that leads to the idea that I want to be able to use my whole body to have an effect, because I don't have the advantage of range. You know, if I have the advantage of range and I'm doing a cross, right? I got my whole body between it. If I'm doing a hook, my whole body weight goes in here. But how about if I'm this close? If I do my hand, you know, I'm just using my hand. Yeah, I'm moving this a little bit, but there's really not that much effect. if I was in tight and I realize I'm moving in for an atemi nage, for example, and I'm this close to the person, I have to use the body, right? To me, this is a strike. If I've got the person here, so here I am working atemi nage, and I don't even want to have this separation. I want to be right here. Now what I'm not doing is bringing the shoulder back and hitting them. What I'm doing is dropping my weight into my feet. Right? So you notice I have contact. And even with contact, I'm having an effect on that object or that person, right? So I would like to have the opportunity, so if I'm strike 1, strike 2, strike 3, all those strikes are going to be part of my Aikido technique. So anytime I do an Aikido technique, I should therefore be practicing the proper alignment, the proper stance, the proper weighting for atemi. I just have to do that safely when I'm working with a training partner. Okay.